fellow carbon-based bipeds. I am Scott Rose, and you are watching Explosions and Stuff. Today, I'll be reviewing the 2006 film Contour, starring Eric Jacobus, Ed Kahana, Andy Leung, and Tyler Wang. But first, a word from our sponsors. An overview of the movie. After a heist gone bad, hired thug Law has to go back to his old job as a tour guide in San Francisco. Two of his clients, one of which happens to be the prince of a small nation, are kidnapped, and it's up to Law to rescue them. Always being a perpetual loser of sorts, Law is up against a challenge like never before. The pros of this movie? Well, first of all, the action in this movie just starts right away. I mean, I know I say that a lot. I know I say that all the time. But in this movie, there's literally a fight scene after about 30 seconds of movie. Within the first minute of the movie, there's an epically awesome fight scene. And it's before the opening credits. It's just fantastic and beautiful. And it lets you know just what type of movie you're getting into. And the fight scene itself is beautiful. Which leads me into my next point. All of the fight scenes in this movie are just fantastic and gorgeous and amazing and just glorious. I love all the fight scenes in this movie. That's why you're gonna watch this movie. The fight scenes just hard hitting, gritty. You look at him, you're like, oh, that guy must have like broken his spine or something. There's no way the stunt guy did not get hurt during that fight scene. They are just amazing and fantastic, and they look real and they look hard hitting and gritty and dirty and nasty. Not in the bad, not like, oh, it's just really ugly looking. No, like nasty, like, oh wow, he really got hurt. He must have really got hurt and hurt bad during that scene. It was just fantastic and glorious. Also, the comedy in this movie was very funny. Now, comedy is one of those things where it's like hit or miss, and it's so subjective that it's really hard to do right. And in this movie, they did it right. If you like comedy, if you like funny things at all, just about anybody's taste in comedy is here in this movie. It's fantastic. The funny parts are funny. The silly parts are silly. They really nailed it out of the park and did a great job representing the comedy in this movie. The cons of this movie? Okay, well, notice I just said about how all these fight scenes were amazing and fantastic. Well, during the fight scenes, the background music was so loud that it drowned out the dialogue. Well, dialogue's not really the right term, but more the audio and the things that the actors were saying. That's probably the best way to describe it. I know it's a fight scene, so there's not really a lot of dialogue other than yelling and grunting and stuff when they get hit. But that adds intensity to the scene when you can hear the cast and the characters reacting and just shouting. That adds intensity to it. When you have the music drowning that out and you can't hear the actors so well, you can't hear the characters making their fighting noises stuff, yes, it hurts the intensity. You want to be able to hear them. You want to be able to understand what they're going through. You need that sound. You need it balanced. You have to have music to add intensity to the scene, but you also need to be able to hear the characters and the noises that the characters are making. You need to have that too. That also adds intensity to the scene. Like someone gets punched in the gut, you need to be able to hear them groan or react to it. Somebody gets hurt, you need to be able to hear them crying in pain or yelling in pain or just somehow reacting to the fact that they got hurt. You need to be able to hear that. It adds intensity to the scene. It makes you somewhat relate to the characters, and it shows just how hard they got hit. You need to be able to hear that, and in this movie they had the volume of the music up so loud that it drowned out the characters' reactions to getting hit. You need it more balanced than that. Also, this movie is a low-budget movie. I don't know how much it would cost to make it, but it's probably made really cheap, and it looks low budget too. And by that I mean when you have the generic thugs that come into the scenes, they're wearing ski masks all the time whenever they're on camera. And I get it. It's because those generic thugs are also the main characters of the movie. Like the actors are playing these hired thugs and the main characters of the movie. So you have to have their faces covered when they're the hired thugs so that you can use them. I get it. You're using people more than once in more than one role, and you're saving money because you're using the same body in multiple roles. I get it, but it looks cheap. It looks low budget. I'm not saying it's necessarily bad. It's a great tactic to use. It was just obvious that they're using the same actors to play these who are also playing the main characters of the movie. It was clear and blatantly obvious. Also, during a lot of the outdoor shots, you could tell that they didn't have permits to film those scenes outside. Like at one point, they're filming at driving up to a Super 8 motel, and they digitally removed the 8 from the sign, so it's just Super Motel. And it's obvious that they did it, and you know they did it because they didn't have permission to feature Super 8 in their movie. It looked low budget, and it felt low budget because it was low budget. Also, this movie had a very shallow story, and I get it. Let's be honest. You're not watching this movie for the story. You're watching it for the fights, and the fights were fantastic. The story was just a placeholder between the fight scenes, and none of the characters were really developed beyond their little comedic bits. All the characters were one-dimensional. You didn't really know anything about them. You didn't know anything more about them at the end than you did at the beginning. None of the characters were developed. There wasn't really any tangible story to this movie. My overall thoughts on the movie? I love this movie, and I give it 2 thumbs up. Yes, it has next to no story, but in a movie like this, the story is just a transition piece between the fight scenes. It doesn't matter. This story could have been about anything, and the movie would have been just as good. This is a movie that you watch for the fight scenes, and they are fantastic. I've never heard of any of these guys before watching this movie, and now I want to find more of their stuff. If you love seeing great fight scenes in movies, then you need to check out Contour. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like it and subscribe to my channel for new action movie reviews posted every week and top 10 lists posted on the 10th of every month. Also, if you have any recommendations for things you would like me to cover in the future, please leave them in the comments below and follow us on Twitter at explosions_TV. Thank you and have a nice day.